Hi there. This is the second video in my series on living aboard a boat. And this video is mostly to do with how big of a boat do you need or should you get. And you know what, this is like the first question people ask me, and it's weird. It's like, oh, how big is it? That's the first thing people say. And while it's not a wrong question, but there's a lot of factors that people don't consider. And I think the important thing to think about is more modern boats are set up much more efficiently, and the ergonomics are just way better. That I frequently see newer boats that are much smaller, that are laid out absolutely brilliantly and have tons of storage space. And to be frankly honest, my boat's it's a 30, it's Westerly Renown 32, and it's actually about 34 feet long. The forward living space is comparable to a modern 28. And you know what, a modern 28 30 foot would probably be vastly superior in layout to my current boat. So you really need to get on board the boat and take a look. Don't get too wrapped up in the physical length of the boat. It really doesn't mean that much. And I'll talk more about the layout of a center cockpit catch as opposed to a sloop design on what I would have done differently, and that will explain at length on that regard. Another thing to consider of how big of a boat you should get is how often are you going to take the thing out? You know, if you're only going to take it out once in a while but do really long trips, you probably, go ahead and maximize your size. Even if it's just you solo handling the boat, you're not doing it that often. You're probably planning it out ahead of time. And you know what? If you delay your leaving for decent weather, and likewise coming back, you give yourself some leeway and maybe stay out a bit longer if the weather's really bad, and not try and bring it back into dock. You know what? If you can pick your battle a bit that way and have the length of time for that freedom and plan it out, not so important. If you want to take it out on like a daily basis, you're probably going to want to scale down the size of your boat as much as possible. Frankly, I think the smaller boats are, in many respects, they're more lively and they're kind of more fun. And not to say, sailing on a larger boat isn't fun. It's awesome. There's nothing like it if you're somebody watching this and you've never sailed before, but you have been on a powerboat. They don't compare. I've owned both, and sailing is a completely different animal, and there's a whole different feel. And I can talk at length all day about it, but you won't get it. Go try it, and you'll see what I mean. It's a very unique, free feeling, and I like it. I already mentioned on size versus efficient layout. Efficient layout has far more impact than the physical size. Another thing to consider is how much stuff do you actually need to bring. Let's not confuse need with want. Some people, you know what, they work at a job where they have to be well dressed and wear a suit. You know what, you're going to need the hanging locker space for all your suits. You're going to need somewhere to stick an ironing board. And, you're going to need a bit bigger of a boat, as opposed to if you're like me and you can dress like a bum every day, then you know what, you can do with a little less space. If your job means you need to bring home tools, or you need to do a certain amount of work at home, like a large monitor and decent computer, you're going to need to accommodate that computer. And that's one thing this boat does well, is I have a good size monitor and a full tower computer with external drives and all that set up. And it has a good kind of little compartment to secure all that stuff down. I don't need to take it all apart to go sailing. It can all stay where it is, and it's all strapped in there. And this boat was kind of unique in that regard. I hit that part right when I was choosing a boat. So those are some considerations to think about when you're looking at size of boat. And I'll reiterate it again. Don't get wrapped up in numbers on length of boat. Go out and look, and I think you'll find that if you're buying an older boat, you're going to want to go quite a bit bigger, as opposed to if you're buying a newer boat, you'll be able to scale down the size quite a bit. due to the modern efficiency. Anyway, I hope the video was enjoyable and at least a little bit useful to anybody curious or thinking about this. Part 3 will be exploring, is it even possible for you? And I'll leave the details out for that video. Anyway, have yourself a good day.